Welcome to In Focus. My friend Faytene Grasesschi of My Canada is here with me today to explore what the new leader of the Federal Conservative Party, the Honourable Andrew Scheer, means for politics in Canada, particularly for Christian Canadians. Faytene, it's so good to have you here.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. It's so fun.
You've had a lot of engagement in the political process in helping young people understand a bit more about what Canada is from a country and its importance around the world, but more importantly, how important it is to vote. Mm-hmm. Andrew Scheer, he came in with about 50% of the vote, 51% of the vote. Mm-hmm. And it was believed that the leader of the opposition, who got 49% of the vote, it was the social conservatives who reportedly pushed him over the edge. Mm-hmm. And so my question to you today is, define for us social conservatives.
Well, generally speaking, this is a secular term. It's not a biblical term, but it's a term used just to describe people who would have traditional moral values. So we would have what would be considered a traditional mindset about things like abortion or marriage, or, those are usually the two that are sort of focused on, or euthanasia. So that would sort of be how the secular world would define it,
Do social conservatives fit the Canadian political landscape then, when we're talking about this day and age in this 21st century?
Absolutely. And the reason is because many Canadians are actually socially conservative, and we live in a democracy. So I hear this question a lot, and I think it's a crazy idea to think that just because somebody is a Christian or believes in a socially conservative way, that all of a sudden their vote shouldn't count or they shouldn't be involved in the social process. As a matter of fact, Jesus taught us that we are to be salt and to be light, and so we need to get in the game. We need to be making an impact.
Andrew Scheer, they said he was really the sleeper because most were looking at Kevin O'Leary and they were looking at other candidates, and they wondered where he actually came from. And out of the Midwest, out of our breadbasket Regina, he rose up as one of the youngest speakers of the House. And so he has a very strong track record. But my question to you, what does this mean now when we look at a social conservative, or Stephen Harper 2.0 coming in, because they're saying that Andrew Scheer is more like Stephen Harper with a smile. What would that mean for politics and the direction that the opposition is going to take?
Well, I think it's beautiful that Canada has choices right now, because if the Conservative Party would have elected a very socially liberal candidate, then we really would have had three super socially liberal candidates running for Prime Minister in the next election. So I think it's amazing that Canadians have a choice. I've personally met with Andrew on several occasions. He is a wonderful human being. He's a family man, has 5 kids, and just a really, really great individual. And I'm excited about the fact that we've got some variety for 2019.
Some of the positions and the platforms that he was really strong on, and I thought this was important as well, is Christian schools, homeschooling, and also the pipeline, making sure that we get jobs back, and even the HST and the GST, a reform in that.
Yeah, reversing the carbon tax. But one of the issues we've talked about before on this show is the issue of freedom of conscience and freedom of religion. He also said that he would fight for that on the university campuses. I thought that was amazing, because that is a huge issue for Christians in Canada right now, the issue of freedom of speech and conscience. So he said he'd go after that.
Well, he has really stepped up to the plate, and he's made some very strong statements. How could we support and also engage the process with him now that there has been a selection of the social conservative in this leadership race?
Yeah, well, I think the most obvious, and it's kind of our default as Christians, is to pray, right? Okay. The Bible says pray for those in authority. Now, Andrew has stepped into the official position of leader of the opposition in the House of Commons right now, so he's not the Prime Minister. No. But he is, but he could be the Prime Minister within a couple years, but he is in a place of authority, so we need to pray for him. The second thing is if you believe in what he stands for, or you feel like he's the best option for 2019, I would say get in the game. One thing that we found with the Conservative leadership race was that as Christians got involved, as they voted, as they donated, as they volunteered their time, it was the shift. Christians literally made history in that leadership race. It definitely was the shift point. And so I would say get involved. Absolutely get involved. Lives are at stake, in my opinion. So we need to get involved.
When you look at My Canada and the next steps with you and young people and helping them get involved, what are you doing and how can they get involved with My Canada?
Well, our website is formycanada.ca, so just go to the site and start clicking,
Yes.
You'll find something to do. But, we're really encouraging our young people to think about running for office. Right now there are so many members of parliament who are under the age of 45, some under the age of 35. And, we live in an amazing country where this sphere of influence is accessible to anyone who's willing to work hard and just not give up. You know what I mean? And so we're encouraging our young people and older people as well to run, to get in the game. So many of the issues that we're passionate about are profoundly influenced by the governmental sphere. And so to pull out of that just isn't wise, in my opinion. And so that's what we're encouraging our kids to do, to get involved.
Thank you. And I believe that's a great leaping off point because we want to make sure that you get in focus, but also get in the game. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back.